Everybody stand. We'll do the pledge and the allegiance with good silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Everybody's here. Bob, Doug, and Lou are all here, so we have a full complement. And public comment. As I say, public comment. Anybody have anything they want to say, get off their chest, or anything? Well, they say silence is golden. I don't know what that means. Administrative business.
I have a few items, and the county councilor has a few items this morning. One, I forwarded you all a copy of an email from the Chamber of Commerce asking if we wanted a non-voting membership on their board. I just wanted to bring that up, and if you all wanted to designate somebody, that would be appropriate. If not, I'll let them know we don't have any.
I was thinking about doing all those little things. There's a whole bunch of things that we really need to look at.
Okay.
At the end, that and some bills and some other things.
Okay.
If that's all right with you, sir.
Fair enough. We had an employee of the month on here today, and last week that person was out. But the employee has decided to decline the employee of the month. They are not interested in it. So we will not have an employee of the month this month. And this would have been our last one. We've discussed it at the department head level. And the department directors were in agreement that maybe the intention of the employee of the month was not what was actually being accomplished. So we were going to do away with that here at the courthouse, and none of the other entities were doing it anyway. So,
well, we have, Lynn's here at every meeting. Maybe he should have it, or maybe John. We've got a Lansing representative. Maybe we should give it to one of them.
yeah.
I appreciate it when they come to every meeting. That's a good sign. They're wanting to learn what the county's doing. So,
Mr. Chairman, are we going to make that a public parking spot then?
We will move the parking around. The sheriff and the emergency management director both have concerns about allowing public parking right up next to the building due to safety issues. So we will reallocate spots. Either we'll widen the ones that are there so we can reduce door dings, or we'll move some around. But yeah,
we can move the commissioners over and put them down on the end. You'll come up with something.
Yep, we will redo that.
Yep. Okay.
And then the county councilor had a few items he wanted to bring up.
You sure she didn't want to get that award just because I wasn't going to hand it to her? I was going to have one of the other two. Oh, okay.
You probably wanted to put a parking meter up.
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, good morning. David Van Paris. Commissioners, you had earlier asked me to keep you informed of the status of the lawsuit that the city of Leavenworth has filed against the county with respect to the proposed design and use of a roundabout intersection at 20th and Eisenhower.
Can I interrupt you, David?
Yes.
I was going to do that one at the end also.
Okay.
Because that's going to take some time, and some of the people may not want to hang around because I have other thoughts on that. I spent quite a bit of time yesterday going over different things that, unless you have an objection to that.
I'll certainly defer to your judgment.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hate to keep cutting these off, but anything you got like that that we know.
Okay.
I got a big agenda at the end.
Okay. Well, we will we'll put those other items on hold then till the end. That brings us to the Carrot Plus scorecard report.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning,
Stephanie and I are
Stephanie.
here to, Stephanie's going to go over the plus card that the safety committee completes, and I'm here for any questions you have over the premiums or any CARET-related questions.
So the safety committee follows the CARET Plus scorecard. It's used to prevent or promote a safety culture throughout the county, which will reduce our losses. And every year we're judged or scored on the card, and this year we received 9 out of 10 points. The past 2 years we were able to get 10 out of 10 points, but honestly, they were being very generous in giving us the 10th point. So we're back to 9 out of 10 points.
That's all right. They do that on purpose. They're making it up in other areas.
We could achieve all 10 points, but we would have to implement like a Cooper set. What is the scorecard?
The point we don't get, it's physical fitness and assessment for public safety personnel. So that would be the Sheriff's Department and EMS would have to have a physical fitness program that's mandatory, and they would have to have a way to track it, or they would have to take a physical assessment, such as the Cooper Poly assessment.
That's good. Are you recommending that?
I'm just saying what the
Oh,
points-
you're saying that's what they need.
That's how we would get 10 out
I
of
thought
10
that was going to
points.
be a good recommendation. Yes, sir.
Question, Mr. Chairman. So the health assessment that Mr. Miller set up, that doesn't
Yes,
count?
but that's a total
But that's
different.
that's not part of the Cooper assessment.
No.
Okay.
That doesn't meet.
But will that help achieve that
Yes,
10th
absolutely.
point
That's part of
if
the
it's mandatory, correct?
That's a wellness point.
No, that wouldn't
That's
get
a
the,
bonus
yeah, it wouldn't get the 10th point in this
Okay.
case. And there's a cost if we implemented the testing
Right.
and everything. There would be a
Absolutely.
cost, so the offset is probably not.
It's, okay. It's not a deal breaker then?
No.
Not
So we-
getting that point cost the county about, what did they say, $1,200.
So EMS has a plan that will fall into this?
Not at this time. They have the wellness that we did,
Yeah.
that falls under the wellness part, which is another division of the scorecard. This point, it has to do strictly with EMS and Sheriff's Department, having some kind of physical assessment in their program. And it has to be, it has to be one that's approved by CARET, and we just don't have, we used to have the Cooper assessment for Sheriff, but we don't have that any longer.
And
Well,
that's
we-
excuse me.
Go ahead.
That's a physical capacity test is what
Yes,
you're talking about?
absolutely.
Okay.
We wouldn't have that. My God, we had the military. I mean, gee. Bob, you want to have something to say?
No,
No?
I'll let you.
Okay. Well, I think, now we would have to beg the sheriff, because he's his own thing over there. He doesn't have to listen to us at all. Anybody in comprehending that, you need to study that operation. So I think it personally needs to have staff looking at a requirement. They're costing us money, possibly.
Well, implementing the testing also has a cost, and I think that the offset, the testing is actually more expensive than the discount that we receive.
You
for
mean,
the testing.
as wise as Jamie is, and he leads 2 departments, he couldn't set up something internally?
I'm not sure that it would meet the needs of the CARET testing, but it would still have a cost as far as bringing the employees over, conducting testing. It has a cost for their staff to conduct the testing and monitor the testing. So I'm not sure that the discount that we receive for that testing is
worth it?
is worthy of the testing itself.
Flight attendants, okay? And I know there's somebody out here who doesn't want to hear this. They had to walk up in front of a mirror before they went out on any flight. They had to walk up in front of a mirror and they had to hop on the scale. Now, that's not true today. Some of the gals, God bless their hearts, they probably don't have a scale. And they definitely don't have a mirror. But it's amazing how this system did work, and now as further down the hill we go, it's not working. I would like for staff personally to look into and see why Jamie and the sheriff, of course they got to pass the test. We always had a JG in charge of that, and we had lieutenant commanders above him, full lieutenants. God, he had all these people above him, and he's the one who gave the test. How did we trust that little JG? He's start out as an ensign, but he was wise enough to give a test. And you either passed or you didn't. Sit down, do 1,000 sit-ups, passed. But you had to do the pull-ups and everything else with it. So I would like to see that done, just for the health of the county, because one of the things I had to hit here had to do with, where's my marker? 8820 on your back sheet. 8820. It says attorney dash all employees. Can you answer that, or should we ask?
Those are class codes. Each, right, road and bridge are in a different class than ambulance or bus drivers or office personnel. Those are different payroll class codes. That's what our premium is based on, is our payroll.
Okay.
And each job has a different class. So that's how they determine to charge more for road and bridge and ambulance than they do for office personnel or commissioners. You know, they're fall under they have less likely to have accidents than EMS or sheriff so that's what that's.
You're saying all attorneys fall in the same guideline as employees?
Yes, under that class code, all attorneys are under the same class code.
And they accept that?
Yes, they make them up.
Wow. They're the ones who got the pay raise, wasn't it? Nobody else got it? Okay.
That's the class code.
So unless one of the commissioners objects, I would like to see a program set up where there is some kind of physical fitness. And if you want me to lead it, I will. And everybody has to do the same physical fitness that I do. And if you can't do it, you flunk. How's that?
Is that going to include commissioners also?
No. No, it does not include commissioners.
Should.
We're an isolated group here.
It should.
No, it shouldn't. Okay.
So I need to, you had a recommendation by the chairman. I need to know if that's the board's desire to implement a physical fitness and capacity testing for emergency or EMS and sheriff's department. Is that what the?
Well, everybody should have to.
All employees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you make modifications because we know this is a program just starting out, but it's very important that people keep physically fit. If not, the rates keep going up, and the rates keep going up. Physical fitness, and we're not talking about Olympic cheerleaders from North Korea. We're talking about just being in condition.
So are you talking about a physical capacity test?
I want them to come up with a thought process, and we'll look at it. And
Okay,
say,
so
"Ooh,
you're asking them to look into
Yeah.
it. Okay, not to implement anything.
No,
Okay.
we have to look.
I
at
can
all before
support
it's
that,
implemented.
just looking into it.
Okay.
Okay, is that all right? Very good. Okay, that was Carrot Plus. Minutes.
I might go on record as saying 9 out of 10 is pretty good for a county. I think we should not let that go unrecognized, that 9 out of 10 is,
I think the
Really
safety committee does a great job.
I do
making sure
too,
that
and I
we
want to
get
make
those
sure
points,
that
and
that's out there.
That is a $10,000 a year savings by getting the 9 out of the 10.
And thank you ladies for doing that. I know it's a volunteer basis.
So, okay, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Anybody have any questions on the minutes?
I had one more thing under
Okay,
administrative
yeah.
business, if you don't mind. We're starting to get some animal control emails.
I was gonna do that at the end.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
All right. Man, we ever gonna get out of here?
I don't know.
Anybody bring a lunch?
Yeah, pizza's on its way. Okay, I had one on the first session, and that had to do with Travis Myers requested a waiver in the 60-foot. Did we get anything looked at on that you know of?
We've been in discussions with Travis and Public Works and Planning and Zoning. We're trying to look for some solutions for him.
Yeah.
What I've instructed Mr. Myers yesterday when I spoke with him on the phone was he needed to come in and start a variance application.
Right.
That's the first step in this, and so
Okay.
he agreed that he would get in contact with him.
Thank you.
I drove by that property in question. It looks like the neighbors put a fence across the or the road right-of-way would be.
I think that is what Mr. Myers reported as well.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, there's always something.
some of the difficulty that he's having.
Always something added to life. That's all I had on session 1. Session 2, I had conversed.
I thought we had emergency management on session 1.
No, he's talking about the minutes. for
Oh,
session.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking
Oh,
about
sorry.
the minutes.
Okay.
I discussed with Mark about conflict of interest on appointments.
Mhm.
And after our conversation, I went through every board, even the cities of Leavenworth. I don't see something that's not a conflict of interest. So conflict of interest, it's sort of a hard thing to deal with, whether it's the Port Authority, LCDC. Everybody seems to have conflict of interest, so in Leavenworth County, I don't think that's an important thing, because if so, we wouldn't have any volunteers. So I just thought I'd mention that, so in the future, when we're looking at that, we say conflict of interest. There's really, almost everything has conflict of interest, and we won't name names and take numbers of who's who and who's on first. Next week, anybody have a question on next week?
No, I
Nothing?
don't think so.
Awesome. Nothing? Checks. Page 1, contractor for visitor center. Is that the, over there in the judicial center, where we're remodeling so people can visit their loved ones, sick ones, and all that other stuff?
Yes, that's correct.
And the lawyers have their, that's what that was for, okay? Page 2 was a backhoe call at 163rd for,
That, I believe I can answer that. That's for sewer districts.
oh, okay.
The sewer district, when they get a call, I'm pretty sure that's what that was for. B Highcrest subdivision, what is that sewer district number? 3. Is it? Yeah.
Okay, very good. Here again, we're into a massive jury again, and I'm sure we've looked at that. You know, it's amazing that the courts don't have any, they're off there on their own, and we're talking about all levels, federal courts, state courts. They don't have to respond to anybody, but it's amazing how much money we spend on jurists. And I'm sure this isn't, probably some of the jurists, it's a good paycheck, I guess. But it's amazing how much we pay, and I'm sure most of them are settled before they even go to court. I don't know if that's something we can look at. I mentioned that last time because there was a massive amount. And maybe that doesn't bother anybody but me, but it sure bothers me when I see what's going on in the court system. And that's not much that I see going on. They seem to keep putting it off our court case, federal court cases, state court cases. It's just like it's a game, and it really is upsetting to a lot of people. So I would personally think, and Mark's going to say, is there anybody objects to that? That's good. I'll get that out of the way, Mark. Does anybody have an objection to them at least looking into how many of these cases are being settled outside, and we still call the jurist in? Some of them have other things in life to do, and maybe, I don't think any of them look forward to saying, oh God, I have jury duty today, and I'm so happy. And they have to remember to call the night before at 5 o'clock to make sure they're still on. So
I don't think we have a say in any of this, really.
well, it's about time we got to say, you know, we're the ones that go out and get the money from the people, and we keep saying, come on, give us money, give us money. You're giving us 1 cent sales tax. We're getting 97 million, possibly. City of Leavenworth's giving 50 million, and they're going to charge their people 84 million to do a stormwater program in the city of Leavenworth. Somewhere these cities got to start coming up. We got to start coming up. People want to keep their own money. So if we think we don't have a right to
I
bring
don't think we
forward
do.
to our legislators,
That's where it would have to come from.
well, then we have to prepare a letter saying, hey, we would like some help in the fact that we are elected to control the money that's coming into the county. Now, we can't control the school district, you know, they want to do $42 million. And nobody ever gets the wording right. It says to continue a 1-cent sales tax. That's not a continue of a 1-cent sales tax. That is a new sales tax. We want to do a 1-cent sales tax, not a continue. It makes people think, oh, that's all right, it's just a continue, it ain't gonna hurt me. So, it's not a big deal. It's just something I spent time going over. And if there's not a consensus of two, I'm not gonna die over it. I got 11 months and about 28 days left, so anybody looking forward to that day, want to look hard because it's going to be a happy day.
So you're wanting to look into this to see if we can get any funding from
The state,
Yes, if we can get a letter prepared for our legislators to take, and Johnson County won't care one way or the other. They probably won't care, I don't know. But to get our legislators to do something for us so we can keep track of the money that we're spending. That's all.
I don't have a problem.
don't have a problem with just sending a letter to the legislatures or representatives of this area of our concern.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I don't have a problem with it.
Page 8. Professional group, sexual assault victims. 911, 6 times. $5,554. Anybody got any thoughts on that one? That's on page 8, right in the middle. CMH, professional group.
That's an expense of the sheriff's department based on certain claims, certain investigations.
Certain investigations that we end up paying for the investigation of it.
Well, I think that is one of the services that the sheriff's department provides, yes.
Okay. That seems like a lot of, I guess you could tie that into any investigation that we're doing now. But last one is page 10. Third one from the bottom. No, I guess it's, yeah. Kansas Department of Health and Education, Bureau of Water. $35,000 we paid.
It's permitting, probably.
Well, I believe that's probably something to do with the loan, debt service.
It is, it's on sewer district number 3 and sewer district number 7. We have loans with KDHE on, which that money is reimbursed through the fees that we charge. So it's our payment that we have to make.
Okay, so we're getting the money back?
Yes, it's all reimbursed.
All reimbursed. I like that. That's a good sign. That's the only question I had there. The last two things on there, of course, and this is all part of the consent agenda, is approve the check register, approve and sign the OCBs. I'll take a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. How you vote?
Aye.
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 Very good. Emergency management quarterly report. Are you going to give that, Chuck?
All right.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. McGaha.
I'm going to touch base on some of the activities we've had this last quarter. when we talk about responses, we've had 4 hazardous material calls throughout the county, 2 of them involving tractor trailers on the Kansas Turnpike. And then we had the Lawrence service area. We lost about 150 gallons of diesel from the gas pumps. That was basically just cleanup scenario that KTA took care of. Atmos Gas had a couple gas lines struck. One was west of Baser, and one was there south of Lansing. No evacuation took place, but homes were checked to make sure there's no migration of gas seeping into the area. We were called for a broken sewer line there off Metro Avenue. It was a sewer line that belonged to the county. It was just with the cold and what have you, it snapped it, and the farmer was upset because he had sewage seeping into his field. But we were able to take care of that on a county basis, and there was no collateral damage done to that particular field. We had 2 structure fires. One of them was north of Tonganoxie. It was a house fire. That was a fairly large house fire, and the other one was a fairly large barn and a greenhouse, if you will, off 159th Street south of Lansing. Grass fire season has started. We've had several large ones already that have occurred. We're looking at really monitoring the grass fire season real heavily this year. State Forestry seems to think that it's going to be worse this year than it's been in the last 2. We're not looking forward to that, but with the drought that continues to migrate its way up into northeast Kansas, it's already in an extreme category down in the southwest part of Kansas, and we're in what they call moderate drought now here in Kansas. We had a spill of about 400 gallons of salt water and crude mix at one of the tank batteries off of 207th Street. That was taken care of by the contractor that owned the facility, and that was cleaned up properly through Kansas Corporation Commission and KDHE. We had one of our new outdoor warning sirens was struck by lightning. Working with the insurance company for the claim on that, we're looking at about $13,000 for the repair. It burned all the insides up on the siren and caused quite a bit of damage, but the horn itself, if you will, is okay, but all the electronics are burned up on it. So that'll have to be replaced in the near future as soon as we make settlement on the insurance company. As I said, we've had everything on the weather-wise. We've had everything from severe thunderstorm watch, tornado watch, and this is since November up till now, to, of course, winter storm. And as I said just a few minutes ago, we're really monitoring fire weather real close to see where we're going to be, and try to control that with permits rather than put a burn ban on. It seems like when we put a burn ban on, that everybody's neighbors calling on everybody else to come put out a fire, and it might be something just as simple as outdoor barbecue grill, Lord knows what. But we end up getting in the county more calls for fires than if we can control it with the burn permits. Our burn permit program has really been successful, and I feel pretty fortunate that folks, our citizens, are really paying attention to that. Presented to my peers in emergency management to the National Weather Service in the state of Kansas, and statewide media reference statewide communications. Our situation is within Leavenworth County is that all of our weather, of course, comes from the west mainly. And there's on the statewide communications tool that we utilize on a day-to-day basis, it stops at the Jefferson County line. I can talk to Jefferson County, but there's not a mechanism in place. So I proposed to the state of Kansas that we can do that. We just need to train our people on how to do that. And we're going to try it out this year for the first time. So if a major storm event starts in Dodge City, for an example, we can follow that storm system as it continues until it exits Kansas. So I felt pretty excited about that, to get my peers to come on board with that. The other thing was I sit on a national committee with the National Institute of Research and Technology, and reference outdoor warning sirens and how they're utilized across the United States. And This committee, it was really interesting because we started with folks from Minnesota all the way to Texas through Tornado Alley, if you will. And to hear the different policies that are out there and sounding outdoor warning sirens, it appalls me because just recently in Minnesota, they sounded the outdoor warning sirens to clear the streets so they could snowplow the streets. So it's confusion to the general public when they come to Kansas, and we're sounding them for outdoor warning sirens. In Minnesota, they're sounding them to clear the streets for snow removal. So anyway, I presented the outcome of what the social scientists think that we need to do, and the Kansas City metropolitan area has really taken a step forward with that, with a policy that actually I developed in 2006. We're making that, regenerating that, if you will, with the National Weather Service, and I think it's going to take off. Exercise and training, we're actually planning a fatality management exercise. It'll be hosted here in the city of Leavenworth, March 20th. Exercise being presented by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment and the Kansas Kansas Division of Emergency Management. We'll have our health department, law enforcement, county administration, as well as Wyandotte and Johnson County will be participating in this exercise as well. I continue to conduct tabletop exercise with our lawn care facilities. This last quarter I did Twin Oaks rehab with our staff. We utilized a tornado that hit at the facility. With the new CMS program, these facilities have to have a plan and exercise their plan on an annual basis, and we're trying to work them through that process. We exercised the new organized, and you probably saw it in the paper, the Wildland Task Force. Leavenworth County was one of the first ones that started that and started the organization because of the wildfires that have happened out in western Kansas the last 2 years. It's been convoluted when they send out information saying they want help. That's what they get. They get help from all over the state, but then they don't coordinate where that help goes. So with the task force that we have developed here in Leavenworth County, we have one team, if you will. It's conducted of the fire departments that I presented there of Kickapoo, Fire District 1, Fairmont, Sherman, and Tonganoxie Township. And these folks are committed to provide equipment and manpower to go anywhere in the state of Kansas that they're needed in the event of a major wildland fire, as well as in our own communities. Attended the all-hazard incident management team in San Diego. This was it was a very good conference when they start talking about all the needs that were needed in Puerto Rico and the needs that they needed in Texas and southern states with the hurricanes. It's interesting to see that the resources that are needed, but they're needed everywhere. And again, trying to coordinate those resources so they get to the proper place is extremely difficult at times when you have that much going on at one time. As well as they were talking about the wildfires that had erupted. Actually, as the conference was going on, they continued to have major wildfires. I was out there when that Thomas Fire happened out there in just south or north of San Diego. Attended state conference, incident management training synopsis, on large-scale emergencies. Actually, I presented at that leadership conference and also received good training on staging of equipment during large-scale events, and then a logistic process, they call it the logistic loop, on when you provide coordinated response, how to make sure that that response actually got to point A to point B, and then, yes, that final dollar on make sure they got paid for what they did. Commissioners, we're finally finishing up on the siren project. I hope that's finished up this week. They'll be taking the old sirens down either this week or next week. And sirens they've got 2 more that they're working on that they're trying to get finished up today on the programming. But we should be ready to go on the entire siren project. One of the old sirens, we got a request in 2008, and from the Tonganoxie Museum about putting one of the old sirens up there. And these sirens are 55 years old, several of them, so they would like to have that siren in their backyard, if you will. Won't be hooked up, it'd just be there for a nostalgia process to let people look at it and see what we used to have. In planning, I'm working with the department heads, elected officials for updating the county's emergency operations plan, and we're also working on our debris management plan. That should be completed by the end of March to meet all the new federal guidelines that are working in that process. In grants, we had to kind of put our mitigation grant on hold. When I was talking to the state, they wanted us to hold off on that till we got the new valuations because we're so far into this process. So we've received those evaluations, but once they become official, we'll go ahead and finish out our application on that process. As far as comments, we've got second intern, Miss Lindsay Magnuson. She's from Wyoming University. She's studying emergency management. Her husband's right now at the Garrison Commanders Staff College. Lindsay will be with us through June, and she wants to just increase her education while she's here in emergency management through her internship process. Inviting all those that listen to our webcast here that we'll be conducting our annual spotter training. Be February 28th at 7 o'clock. Be here at Warren Middle School. All public's invited, and invite the commission if they'd like to attend, and any departments throughout. We've also been selected on the Kansas side to host an advanced spotter network, and Leavenworth County was the one that was selected this year, and that will be at March 27th at 7 o'clock. I know it says 8 o'clock, but it should be 7 o'clock at Baser Linwood High School. So anyway, that's kind of a summary of our program. My budget at current time is about a little less than 6% here in February.
Did you say Lindsay
Magnuson?
Her husband is the Garrison Commander?
No, she's at the Garrison Commanders Staff College.
Okay.
He's going to school.
Say, everybody reads the Army News, and I'm Navy, and I read the Army News. You get a new sergeant been assigned to Fort Leavenworth as under the Garrison Commander. So he's the head sergeant up there. So any commissioners have any questions?
Just one, Chairman. On your task force that you put together, when they get deployed, who pays that? Are we reimbursed by any, or is the townships reimbursed?
Yeah, it's the township's responsibility. And what I did, commissioners, is I put together a resolution that is a commitment from the townships that they'll pay for their personal, their equipment, and their wages if they have wages to on a day-to-day basis. If there's federal reimbursement, then they would be reimbursed for that. But they are going out there on basically a mutual aid request.
Okay, so if they have to, like you went, they had to have lodging and all that, the township has to pay for that?
That's correct. Okay. That's correct.
Did you have anything?
But it could be reimbursed for if it's a FEMA
That's
event.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fires that were last year was all reimbursed through the federal, what they call an FMAG. It's a fire management grant that the state of Kansas was able to secure.
Okay.
The only thing I have, and I wrote it down on every subject you mentioned, do we get any recovered costs? Everything you mentioned. Tractor trailer, and he tips that mother over because he's driving too fast on ice. Do we go after him and the insurance company? Somebody?
Yeah, the only thing I'm allowed to recover on the community right to know is the actual man hours that we were there, and then any product that we were used. And we use a product called Spagzorb, and we charged the Spagzorb back to.
I grabbed one word out of what you said. Allowed.
Allowed. Yes.
Allowed is a scary word. Means in most cases you're not allowed to do anything other than committed time and product. There should be something that allows you to do anything It has to do with us having an expense.
Yeah, and if there's an expense incurred, commissioners, we charge that back. I know, I say that for the fact that several of the fire departments along the KTA, they charge their services back to the spiller. In my case, it's whatever the FEMA cost rate for, like my truck, for an example. That's the only thing I can charge back, because you're already paying my time to be there, and then any of the product that I utilize. So an hour's worth of my time on my truck's $19.90, and then $100 worth of product, they would get charged back that product.
Well, there's nothing else you'd like to be able to recover on? You're happy with what you recover on? And then would the taxpayer be happy with what you're recovering on?
Again, I'm looking at the fact that we can't overcharge.
Well, I'm not saying overcharge.
But it has to be for whatever that whatever that incident time is, we can charge back for.
In my insurance, my business went up $14,000. I'm being overcharged because I'm taking care of Florida now. I'm taking care of the state of California because they allow their people to go out and build in the hills, and then they're on the bottom of a flood landslide, so I get to pay for it. But when I go out there, they don't give me anything, except faster drivers on the highway. So if there's anything that you can look at that we ought to, go forward with our legislators, which I guess they'll do something, it's hard to say. But that was what I had on every one of those was, do we recover? Recover. And that's not for me, that's for all the taxpayers.
Sure.
They recover, and I'm sure as well known as you are throughout the industry. We can brag on you, can't we?
If you'd like to, that'd be
Yeah,
fine.
you're the man. A lot of people respect you. That's good.
Common household name.
Yeah, household, yeah. They get up, bacon and eggs, and did you want to talk about Chuck? And that's how you do it. Okay, thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
And I think next on the agenda is, let's see here, Rock Chalk Jayhawk Cave. Oh, no, that's Linda.
No.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, where the hell are you?
Bad.
Good morning.
Good morning, Linda.
Morning.
What I would like to do first is just do a little synopsis here of our quarter and then to go over our year with you. In transportation, I have stated to you before, we continue to increase in the number of wheelchair and disabled. This year, we've increased 706 rides in the wheelchair department. We are an aging society, so I'm sure a lot of that plays into this, but I think more people now are willing to get out and go places while they're in a wheelchair, and so we've seen a rise in that. I anticipate that that will continue. In transportation right now, we're having kind of a tough time. We have 3 staff members that are fighting, 2 cancer and 1 heart. One of them, which is our individual that trains our CDL drivers. So we have a new employee, and we're going to try to do the best we can to get him to where he can pass the CDL driving test. What we've done to compensate, it will hurt us later on in the year, is we're taking our intermittent on-call drivers, and they're driving more hours, where in the past we've spaced this out so we could use them through the entire 12 months. But we're having to use them more right now. And so far it's okay. Our transportation dispatchers are going out on the road, as well as the transportation supervisor. So,
How are we coming on that transportation thing we've been talking about now? We have all these people out there transporting, the coordination of it.
Well, we're waiting to hear if, and they should be announcing this any time, as to whether or not we were approved for the 5310 grant. That, I don't have great hope for that because so many transportation providers throughout the state they've left the 5311 program to go to the 5310 because of the regulations. And I understand that there is an organization here in town that is applying for a 5311 grant that will transport the general public. Right now, we're just transporting seniors and the disabled.
Because you mentioned the young man working on a CDL, there's 250,000 drivers going to be short in the year 2019 or 2020. 250,000 CDL drivers. CDL test is not just, I passed. I brought a truck down from Detroit, and I'm watching CDL drivers pre-flight in the morning. I pre-flight an airplane like they pre-flighted their truck. I'd be looking for a job because it takes about an hour to do a good pre-flight. Check all the systems, bring all the air tanks, do everything you got to do. So I'm concerned when you say CDL because the CDL drivers are getting hard to come by. So many of the people cannot even get a driver's license. So if you can't get a driver's license, you sure can't get a CDL license. So somehow this coordination of people in transportation has to get moving a little faster. And I don't know, is it, I don't want to give up my authority and they don't want to give up theirs, because usually that's what it is. Somehow we have to move on that, in my opinion.
Well, my philosophy is that the city is in need of transportation services for the general public. And I know there is plans in the work to have that being taken care of. And I see us being just another service that meets this population of people because they desperately need that.
Right.
And so I'm hoping in the future Leavenworth County will have a really good transportation system.
Yeah, that'd be a good experience. Yeah.
Our information and assistance, we here again have seen 277 new seniors here this last quarter. And the thing, they're wanting to access assistance, but what we're also seeing is a rise in the number of exploitation, financial exploitation, and outright abuse. And so our referrals to Adult Protective Service have dramatically increased. And we're not only and it primarily has to do with family members, and we're seeing a lot of grandchildren now moving in with grandparents and liking to use their Social Security. So it's, this is across the country. Leavenworth County is not exempt from that. And so our social service and information and assistance are just being very busy trying to do the best we can. Yesterday we had a situation where we had a man that claimed he was being held prisoner. They were taking his Social Security. He was in our office, got a very direct call from a daughter. She then proceeded to come, I told her to call the police. She proceeded to come to our office. The police interviewed him in one end of our office and then interviewed her at the other end and advised him to go out another door and go home and pick up his things and to go to the homeless shelter. So it's all around us, and it really is something that I think we all have to be aware of and report and try to do the best we can to not make this such a frequent occurrence in our county.
Yeah, there's no way financially to remove that. No way. Got a home up on Northeast Leavenworth just opened up. And it's just going to become a higher and higher burden that people are going to have to accept. It's not for the good. There's no way to remove people from that system once they've been in there for as long as they've been in there. And, you know, we have Simply for them, but, you know, you also have roads, dogs in the county, this in the county, this in the county, this in the city. You cannot afford everything. And to do it partial, I don't know if that's good or bad, and to rely on the police department. And, you know, they got enough going as it is, so I don't know how you ever resolve it. Heard somebody say I would resolve it, and I won't repeat it, because I love them none.
Our nutrition, we're very pleased with Terry Booker, and continue to have more and more people come on Meals on Wheels. In our nutrition program, we have another employee with cancer. We have 2 employees with esophageal cancer, which is a very kind of long recovery, and one of them is in nutrition.
When we lose these people, you know, Mark and I talked about this, you know, food is delivered by somebody that gets paid. But the individual that delivers it out to your house, my house, those are volunteers.
Not out into the rural areas, but
No,
into
no,
local,
into the
that is
city,
all
you know.
volunteers, yes.
They're volunteers.
Mhm.
When we lose those volunteers, how do we handle that situation? Because food can't be delivered unless we then hire people and pay them.
We're always on trying to get substitutes, and then when somebody either quits or can't go for that day, we call in a substitute.
We have that many extras that are just,
Well, we try to make it do, and then we pull people from the office.
okay. Because it's going to get difficult more, just like you say, 2 cancer and 1 heart. That's a,
Well, you know, most of our substitutes are people of age and are volunteers. Although we just recently got some new volunteers from On Posts, and they're younger individuals, so hopefully we will see a trend in maybe some people from the Post during the time that they're here volunteering for us.
that's good. Can beat our volunteers.
Yeah. And then I would like to just go over 2017 just briefly with you. I won't just go down everything, but we spent 98% of our budget. And our nutrition statistics, that you mentioned the volunteers, they volunteered 1,704 hours for us. Right now, we currently have 58 homebound meal volunteer delivery drivers, and they have volunteered 2,750. So there's a difference between the 2,750, which is homebound, and then our dining center volunteers, which help at the dining center. So we're very fortunate to have those 2. You know, they wash the dishes, wash the tables, do those kind of things to get ready for the meals to be served. We've added at the dining center some things that to kind of support the program and support individuals, and one of them is we have a blood pressure check. And then that here in Leavenworth, we go to Trinity every Wednesday to play bingo with them. We have cards there. We go out to Tongi and to Baser at those dining centers also for a game day. Our transportation, we had 24,583 trips and drove 169,561 miles. And those were trips that were for medical, shopping, essential business. Our leisure and learning, which is the one that takes the trips to Kansas City to museums and things, they did 28 trips last year and drove 2,054 miles. Our leisure and learning program has really increased dramatically, and I won't go all down the things that we have educationally, socially, but just to tell you that from that, we did 780 programs at the Council on Aging. That's a lot of programs about health, support groups. We have the Alzheimer's support group, grief support, diabetic and grandparent support groups. We have the exercise programs. So all of that totaled that amount, and that is staff doing that and also volunteers. We've started our community outreach. We are in Tongi, Basser, and Linwood, and eventually hope this year to find a location in Easton, and that would mean that we're covering the entire county. Somebody can come in and talk about Social Security, any of their supplemental plans that they have or need, and that has gone over very well. I will say the communities have been very receptive and very gracious to us. Our PALS program has gone really quite well. That started because we had seniors feeding their pets, they're sharing their meals with them. That is totally run on donations and grants. And this last year we noticed that people were providing us pet food for dogs and not for cats. We started Feed the Felines program and having a senior and their cat and a very small description in the Chronicle Shopper. That has just been overwhelming. The people that have supported the people with their cats and themselves. Some of the groups that have adopted people at Christmas have continued to do that throughout the year. They may buy them to the curb, which is we take people's trash out. They may buy them so many trips to the curb. The chore program of lawn mowing, we had people at Christmas. One gentleman, he got a year's worth of lawn mowing. They will do meals. So the community has been absolutely fantastic, and they've been so good. This year we've reaped $195,451. And so that's, I think, Leavenworth County and should be really commended for their generosity. That's pretty much an overview, other than I did want to point out that we have the different groups that do things, and one of them is the Go and Sew On group, and those ladies do community service. A few years ago, we used to do international, national, we would send things out, but the cost became prohibitive of mailing the things that were made. So this past year, we concentrated on Leavenworth County. We gave things to the Tonganoxie Police Department, Leavenworth County Health Department, to assisted living, nursing homes, the VA, and to St. Paul's Lutheran Church. So I think the ladies that do that need to be commended because they did 848 community service projects that was donated in our county. And that's kind of it for an overview of the Council on Aging in 2017.
Could I just, real quickly, one of the things that's going on right now, and I know this because the county attorney sent me a clipping from the newspaper, is your Adopt a Sweetheart program, I believe, which is you can adopt, basically provide a meal for one of the seniors who are on the Meals on Wheels program through a donation to the Council on Aging. Right. Because some of the seniors can't afford to pay for their own, or you can do it for the month or the year. And I thought that was a really good program, and I think I'll probably be sending out an email later today to the department heads, challenging them to see if they can find in their departments maybe an ability to adopt a senior for at least a month and see where that goes. So I just wanted to bring attention to that since that happens to be the program.
I will tell you that we had enough donations to make a sack that everybody on Meals on Wheels gets a Valentine's sack tomorrow with just hand cream, or it may be a Jell-O cup and some tissue or those kind of things. But and then they're getting a heart that says you are loved. And that was a donation by a young man. And so the community has been just super. I just commend them for all the good things.
Bob, did you have anything?
It's good.
I think we're lucky we have a program in the county like this.
Yep. And good thing we got good volunteers.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
What makes us unique in the whole world.
Always hear good things about the Council on Aging.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
And have a good night from 6 o'clock on, Linda. Okay. Next is EMS Health Department. Who's in charge there? Oh, Jamie. Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. We're going to start with the Health Department.
Okay.
As you can see, I prepared the fourth quarter report, which is also kind of the county's side of the entire 2017 year. As you're aware, the Health Department budget is established between county fiscal year, state fiscal year, and federal fiscal year because of all our grants that we received. We were able to maintain budget line. We're about 97%, which goes with the usage and what we're doing with the programs that we provide out at the Health Department. So we did well there. User fee collection, we've moved forward with training one of our employees with more coding and insurance collections. So we're taking more insurance out at the Health Department for immunizations and things of that nature that we can, which showed a little bit more increase, if you will, in the user fee collections for the year. I'm not going to say that that's going to maintain, but that's where we were at for what the usage was out in 2017. Grants received shows a little below last year. However, in December, we did not receive in our WIC reimbursement. The December reimbursement did not show up for the 2017, so it actually showed up in January. Because again, we're on the federal grant cycle and not necessarily, they don't follow the same year to year as we do there. But overall, total revenues were at 1.189, so we're in budget on collections. As you can see, statistically, between WIC clients and Health Department clients, we were right in track pretty much with what was the years prior. What we're focusing in on right now is the aid to local grant application process, which is predominantly all of our programs that we support at the Health Department. In the state of Kansas changed this year to a new grant fiscal management system, so we're doing a lot of training and it's all online and there's a lot of electronic process for it. So it started a little early. I will be back in front of the board here in the next few weeks with our application process so we can go ahead and submit that online. It'll take a signature from the board so we can apply for our aid to local grants and the programs. We're not asking for any new programs this year, but we are asking for the same programs and we are asking for more money. Doesn't mean necessarily we're going to be awarded that, but we are also currently at this time providing or going through, if you will, an analysis of family planning, which is a requirement of the grant also, but we're doing a cost analysis to find out exactly what we could be charging, should be charging, so on and so forth. Are we in track? So that will help us also guide for some of the funding that we're going to apply for. Doesn't mean anything more is going to come our way, but it's going to put us a little bit more in line for what we're doing. We've backfilled our positions at the Health Department, which is a plus. We were down 2 administrative and a nurse, and in the last quarter of last year we were able to get all those positions, so we are completely filled at the Health Department at this time. And then on January 11th, some bigger news, WIC transferred over. I believe we're now the 3rd or 4th county as that kind of rolls out with the e-WIC, which is electronic WIC. Vouchers used to be provided to the constituents to use their benefits, and it's now an electronic card with a PIN number and such. So we've kind of rolled into that, and that's been a fairly smooth process. The WIC program coordinator and another staff has had to go out to grocery stores and do some training with them as well as to how that all plays out, but so far so good with that program. Any questions on the Health Department side?
I love the, what do you call that, the e-WIC?
E-WIC, yeah. Electronic WIC.
I relate back, I think, man, the cards. How do we make it through life with no cards?
There's now an e-WIC card.
Yeah, e-WIC card.
E-WIC.
Okay, thank you. EMS.
Before I go any further, obviously you can see I have several employees with me today that were pretty anxious to hear on some of the topics, obviously, that I'm talking about. And I've visited with several employees in the last several weeks over some issues that I'm going to bring up today. So that's why you're seeing kind of a show of support and a show of interest into the quarterly report today.
They weren't just coming for the meeting.
They were never going to come for you, Commissioner.
Oh, God, I can't believe it. Would you get their names?
As you can see, we spent 97% of our budget for 2017. Majority of that was from open positions that were vacant, and we're going to talk about that pretty significantly here in a minute. Revenue was up by 8% over what we needed to collect. We collected $3.2 million. And one of the important things I think to notice on that, over the last 3 years, we were able to collect enough revenue to cover our expenses, operation expenses, that is. But that's an 8% increase. But what that really translates to is if you look from 2014 all the way to 2017, we've been having significant increases. 2015, I'll just remind you, that's when we took over doing some of those transfers for St. John, commonly referred by the staff behind me as up the hills, going from their standalone emergency room up to the main hospital. But it also, we're transferring more patients out from local hospitals down into the city as well. But significantly, from 2016 to 2017, we're up 9%. That is a tremendous increase in a single year without taking on any new contracts or any of that. So that averaged 35 calls per day. But what I really want to talk about is in January, we're up to 38 calls a day already for this year starting. So the increase in call volume is continuing. We actually had 2 call days in January that we ran back-to-back over 50-plus calls. So call volume is a large concern for me right at the moment. Some of the call volume also then rolls over into staffing requirements, staffing needs, things of that nature. So I want you just to hang on to that thought process as we go through, and I'm going to talk about that pretty significantly here as one of my additional items in the rear. The next several pages are just my normal report to you in regards to response times and when are we having call volume peaks, so on and so forth. Those are things that we're monitoring. Again, as we make decisions as to if trucks need to come on, if we need additional staff, if we need to take on things. Also, our maintenance budget. One of the things on that, obviously, we're 2 trucks down. We were able to bring in a backup truck. We were able to, with the 2 trucks that went out, with our vendor, do some swapping and sharing, and we were able to bring a truck in that we were able to have as a backup until our new trucks got here, without having to pay additional funding and things of that nature outside of basically swapping used trucks that were no good to us. So I think that's a big plus. I'm going to go all the way to page 6 now, unless anybody has any questions with the graphs. And speaking in replacement ambulances, we were notified in the last few weeks that there is a potential for those 2 new trucks to be actually ready by the middle to end of March, which would then put those trucks available to be on the road probably first or second week of April, which is about 30 days sooner than we anticipated when we placed the order at the end of the year last year. So we'll be in good shape with that. I'm going to jump over the one is replacement. I'm going to jump over infectious control policy. We're completely revamping that. We sent one of my administrators down to infectious control officer class. And we're in the process of completely revamping to federal standards and state standards and laws in regards to infectious control as it relates to EMS. We did receive our renewal packet from the Board of EMS, and we should have that completed by the end of the month. We're probably about 80% complete already, but it's just filling out the paperwork and making the payments. The last item there is we had an interest from the KU Medical Center Office of International Programs. They had some internationals from Ghana come in from EMS. They wanted to see some metro, but they also wanted to see some rural, and we were about as rural as they could get outside of the Kansas City metro. So on February 3rd, I met two delegates as well as the KU international officers that are the sponsors down at our Station 2 in Tonganoxie to show them our station and talk about our operations and how we operate EMS. It was a Saturday, and we visited down there for about 2 hours and showed them everything. So it was a pretty neat experience for learning experience for myself as well as I think the delegates. So that was a pretty interesting deal. The big item right now, we're at a staffing crisis. I'm going to say that for the simple fact that I received another resignation this morning from a paramedic. We are, in December, we hired for 4 vacant paramedic slots. We hired 4 paramedic slots, and before the 2-week academy was over, 3 of the 4 took another offer from a Kansas City Metro ambulance service. So we lost those 3 out of the 4. I lost another one this morning. We're hiring 2 that will start tomorrow. We are in a continuing battle with retention of paramedics. One of the main reasons why you see the staff behind me, they're tired. These individuals behind me are working 36 hours, 12 off, coming back for another 36-hour shift, almost routinely. I am in the process now of doing some cost analysis, meeting with staff. Why are we leaving? What can we do? Some of the things that come up constantly: more money, less call volume, less hours, different perks from the ability to move up. As you can see in my kind of briefing there, we have done a good job of trying to adjust pay and trying to, but we continually battle with the Kansas City Metro. And a lot of times when we go through these pay studies, we're not using them because we're not considered equivalent or such. But I'm going to tell you, I've just looked at the Kansas Emergency Medical Society's survey, and we're about the 4th highest in call volume in the state of Kansas. We are a metro, whether we like it or whether we don't. Those are things that we're up against when we're doing that. The other is there are 6 micro hospitals that are opening up in the Kansas side. They're part of the St. Luke's group. Within those emergency rooms and the micro hospitals, they're also staffing a paramedic. That is where one of these individuals just went to. They're guaranteed for 36 hours at about the equivalency of what they're making here and not have to work the hours and so on and so forth. So again, the crews are tired. We've got to do something. I've met with Mark. We're going to continue to meet to try to come up with some game plans. I'm going to continue to meet with staff to figure out what we can do. Something needs to be done quickly. We're going to be reevaluating, again, even myself, administrators, whether we're going to have to step out onto ambulances now during this crisis to help offset and alleviate and make sure that we don't lose any more staffing that will put us in an even further crunch than where we're at today. You know, I'm proud of what Leavenworth County's done in the last 10 years. I'm proud of what the Commission's done for us. You know, we've built new stations. We continue to buy trucks. We're trying to replace old, antiquated equipment. We're trying to move in that direction. We need to continue that. But one of the other things that we need to continue is invest in what is the most important, and it's the professionals that are on those trucks. You know, I live in this county. A majority of the people that are sitting behind me reside in this county as well. I want qualified professionals to come work on me at that time of need. I don't want the, you know, continue to overturn 1 year out of school. I want to be able to say that, you know, right now, probably 70% of my staff is 3 years or less. That's a problem. That's a large problem that we need to identify, and we need to come up with a retention plan. That's something that Mark and I are going to have to look into, come up with a game plan. I'm going to use my staff. I'm going to use my administrators. We have some very talented people on board. I'm very proud of the people behind me that are sticking behind me, saying, "Hey, we're here, but let's fix this. I don't want this to keep, you know, continue." How many of you that are behind me are sponsored medics right now? These are individuals that we've sent to school that are with us. I have 2 right now that are second years, I have 2 that are first years, and I have 3 more that I'll be sending to paramedic school. But the problem with that is, that's a 2-year program. That's a fix that is a continual basis if we can keep them, but again, it takes time to get those back out, and we need to have some sort of draw at Leavenworth County in regards to maintaining paramedics.
Douglas, do you have anything?
Yes, you two gentlemen probably remember when the county started EMS. Was it 74, 73, 74?
1976.
Okay, so was it to a vote in 74 maybe to start that? And was there a mill levy established for it, or?
There was a voter referendum in 1976 to start an ambulance basis. In 1981, voter referendum came back to establish a three mill to support an ALS service. They wanted it to go to paramedic level. But then in 2010, we went away from that referendum and we were pushed over back into general fund. So that's kind of the...
I was in high school. I remember when the funeral homes used to be your ambulance service.
Dave's did a good job.
Yeah.
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 He's passed away.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I thought I remembered it being voted on, but I wasn't old enough to vote.
In 81, I remember.
Well, I'm just saying, the voters passed it. They wanted the county to have an emergency medical service.
So are you saying we need to put it on another vote?
No, sir, I'm not. I'm just saying this is what this has become. I've seen it become where they had a building in the fairgrounds and had to move out during the fair. And they rented buildings, and now you've gotten buildings. We've made the investment in the program. It's not going anywhere. So I guess I don't know where we're going with it. I mean, we got to do something.
Well, they're going to come up with something. I got some thoughts, but
Okay.
We've worked on this for quite a few years. I think that we've looked at raising their pay, and we've done that over the years that I've been here. And but it's still a tough struggle.
We're pretty
because when you're
far behind where we need to be.
if you say we are Metro,
I'm sorry?
we are not Metro. I don't care what the pay says. We are 50% untaxable. So, how do we resolve that?
Well,
That's the question, because the sheriff has the same thing.
go back, Commissioner, and we can have, you and I can sit down, and I've got some ideas. We have, Mark and I have visited, I think today's not the forum, we'll study it, we're going to come back. I think there's a game plan. I think there's some ideas. It's let us present it to you.
There has to be something other than, it's simple, it is totally simple to raise the taxes. It's totally simple, but you know, we have a situation now where people have been given pay raises, but other people haven't. Maybe we should put you as a elected, then you can do your own thing. You know, we have departments can do their own thing. We got, what, 5 of them?
Commissioner, we'll bring back a...
Okay. Appreciate that, because
Well,
we can always put it on. I don't have any problem putting it on. People, we need, what is our mills now for? Just for our information.
The what?
Is the 3 mills still there, or what are we?
No.
No mills.
Commissioner, we were scheduled to take in user fees of $3 million last year. I had a budget authority at 3.275. I collected 3.255.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any, you're coming back with something, appreciate that. I don't think it's anything we can resolve, very simply. But I think people that are moving need to sit down. I don't know where they're going. Need to sit down, same way with a whole other bunch of people that are employees of city and county functions, and say, well, wait a minute. I'm going down to Johnson County because they're still like Douglas County. They got 35,000 eaters and buyers of clothes, Douglas. We don't have that. We got 5,000, but they're in a pen. They don't buy many clothes, and they don't buy any food. So we don't get any tax money off of that. That's where the system has to stop and look. What are we receiving? So what can we pay out? And I think there's, do we sit down with these employees that are leaving and say, eh, you know, I know you're pretty wise and you want more money, but you're going to go to Johnson County, you got more gas expenditures, you got more clothes, you got different clothes, not net clothes, they're not an effective thing, but you got more expenditures, and make sure you tell your insurance company, because you're not putting on 15 miles a day, you're putting on 45 miles a day, see? So your mileage has gone up, a whole bunch of things there. So you're going to come back with an answer, and that's good, and that's what we appreciate. Very good.
Some of them could live in Johnson County,
Yeah.
or Douglas County,
Sure could,
or
probably
Platte
did.
County, or Jefferson County.
So, okay, that'll be a very interesting topic. Okay, I think that's the last item, wasn't it?
For session one.
Session one. Thank you for coming, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. You need a motion to adjourn session one?
Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn session one.
Second.
Any discussion? How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're going to open, I guess I can do the yellow. There we go. We're going to open session two. General concern, as I say, I want to hold that till the end. So anybody else wants to leave, can. The first thing we have, and that's the Wilson Company, that's on the back. First item is, any other items other than ones we put on for the back, for the end?
No.
Okay. Well, the roundabout will be at the end. Consider a motion to approve the membership changes in the
Solid Waste Committee? You want the
What
Solid
is
Waste?
it here? Action Board from the Solid Waste Committee. Yep.
Mr. Herring has his hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I didn't see you back here, Joe. Go ahead, sir. On the second session? No, you should have been here for the first, Joe. I didn't want to hear from you. Yes, Joe, come in. God, I'm waiting with bated breath.
Joe Herring, Herring Surveying Company, 315 North 5th. Appreciate you allowing me public comment. Last week we met on the DIFE. Question. The next time it comes in front will be an evening meeting. Will that be a work session or an agenda item?
It'll be an agenda item.
Be an agenda item. Along with that, I understand the reasoning for it and the plan to get to where we need to be with county roads. We have another item coming up, County Route 1 study request for more money to look at that area. We've also had Public Works ask for money for a sewer plant study. And we have all these issues, and we've talked about an overall county plan. And I just think that we have all these old Band-Aids we're putting on everything. I think we need to have that plan first. If we have sewers on County Route 1, and if we have water, development will come. If we're making a plan for without sewers and water, what are we planning for? So it all just needs to be included in one big plan. We can get the DIF fee, show it how it works for developers. We can explain the RIF fee. We can work on the sewer plan and get everything in one package where it's not so confusing and we don't have all these extra fees and extra meetings to go through. So I just want you to take that into consideration.
Joe, I know your maturity level, how old you are.
Yes, sir.
You really want to be around for the finale of that overall plan?
I think you can get it done within a year, get it in place. As you say, Commissioner Clem, you only have
The funding's
have
gonna be
left?
the
10
issue
months?
on that.
11 months,
11 months up
20-some
here.
days, 28.
Let's get it done by the time you leave.
Think so? Okay.
You gotta have some goals.
But we did have comments at the start of the first session.
Yes, you did.
We don't have that on the second.
You don't anymore?
No.
Okay, so I'll make a note of that next time I'll leave.
But, you know, you raise your hand, we'll recognize you.
I appreciate that.
Anybody else do?
Thank you.
Okay. So, board review, input and approval of Leavenworth County solid waste. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Got two ladies coming forward now.
Yep. We're short a member.
Good morning.
Morning.
Tammy and I are here today in our capacity as Solid Waste Committee officers. And back on January 25th, we held our annual reorganization meeting. And one of the topics, of course, that's discussed is the membership. And so we had a couple changes made to the membership, and we have one vacancy. And so we're here today to ask you for your approval of our changes that we made, and we also have the one opening that we'd like to discuss, and that one is our unincorporated area of Leavenworth County, currently held by Dr. Roy Brom, and he has opted to step down from his position. He just cannot make the meetings.
It's been a long time. Hasn't it?
He has. He's been on, well, I was gonna say, I'm too new to the committee, so I don't know how long he's been on, but
20, 30 years.
I don't know, I
Yeah,
started.
that's all right.
on
he
the
precedes all of us.
2012.
That's probably the original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the original.
But, just the meeting times were not conducive to his work schedules or anything. So
Yeah.
he opted to step down. And according to the resolution, the unincorporated area of Leavenworth County is a member appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We have one suggestion at this time. Currently, Stephanie Sloop from Planning and Zoning is the Planning and Zoning representative to the Solid Waste Committee. Jeff Joseph has offered to bring Wade Cobb into that capacity and let Stephanie step up as the unincorporated representative. That is just an option we wanted to bring to the table to you, or if you had suggestions for us.
I don't have any.
I had one.
Okay.
But on that, let's change that title a little bit, and, Leavenworth's got two members. Lansing's got one. Tonganoxie's got one.
Tonganoxie, Baser, Linwood, and Easton
Have one.
are one. They are,
That'd be
Are
Mr.
one.
all four of
Miracle.
them have one, Gene
Yes,
Miracle.
all of them have one. And I thought, that landfill out there was put in Lansing, wasn't it, years ago? It's closed up now. Well, put in there by Leavenworth. Now, we gave, the county gave $100,000 to help secure that. It was county money that we gave. So I thought, well, and I don't have any problem with Stephanie, but I said, why don't we change it somehow so Lansing can have two? If you're looking at just members, the unincorporated area, I don't know if it's got a big requirement or not. So, but it was just a thought, Lansing's always had a thought on that, and they should. So, anybody concerned about if Stephanie goes in?
I have no concern. I just didn't know if, that we should advertise? Or do you think that'd be?
Advertising is getting to be a situation, I think.
Okay.
Opinion. Had she brought this before you, Mark, this thought with Stephanie and Jeff?
No, I can't say that we've discussed whether Stephanie would fill the vacant one or not. I haven't had that
Okay.
discussion with him.
So,
I have a little hesitation about putting another employee on the committee,
Yeah.
honestly. We already have the three that are representing certain departments, and then to make a fourth be the unincorporated area. Not that I don't think Stephanie could do a great job of it.
No, I know she could.
I do have a little trouble having, I'm a little concerned about the intent of the resolution was
Yeah.
when it said an at-large for the
How about
unincorporated areas.
you getting together with Mark and see what the intent of the resolution was and come up with a name, as I say, I've always thought that Lansing should have a little more input. I hope I don't offend them, but probably has offended. To find out if, you know, somehow we could work them in there. But that, you two get together, or you three, get together and come up with a thought process, and I don't think it's a big deal with us. So, we'll go on to the next event, unless you have something else to say on that.
We added Charlie too. Oh, will you talk about that? I wouldn't go for that. We had two that haven't shown up to meetings at all. Randy Weldon from Honey Creek and who was it? Somebody from the metal place, and I don't know how they even got on there. But I sent emails and neither one responded, so Charlie Sedlock, being our hauler now, has agreed to step in for the metal recycler. Randy, I mean, it doesn't hurt to just leave him on there if. But he's one of those who never shows for meetings.
Do they have to live in the county? Do these people have to live in the county?
No.
Really?
Well, maybe
It's
that's.
just hauler and private businesses.
I thought they did have to.
Well, I would like this, them living in the county. This is the Leavenworth County Solid Waste Committee.
Maybe when they're getting together, they can come up with a suggestion on that too. They can smooth that out so that program just runs.
Did the board have any problem adding Charlie as one of the haulers, Charlie Sidlot? Did you want to discuss that today?
Why don't you come back with that all at the same time?
We can do that.
Okay? Is that all right? Next item, oh, you have something else?
The only other thing is, we wanted to let you know that we were planning our countywide cleanup on April 14th through the 28th.
Okay. John, did you copy that?
Yeah, I've talked to Mark about that.
Very good. Okay, appreciate that. And you can get that for the next meeting, and we'll resolve that one just like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is to consider a motion to award a contract to, is that pronounced Benish? Benesh. Oh, I'm gonna call him Benish, okay. Benesh for the design of 4 bridge projects.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Public Works is seeking approval to award contracts for the design of 4 projects to Benesh Engineering. Public Works solicited proposals from the approved on-call bridge design consultants for the design of A49, E18, F46, and T34. Benesh was the low proposal on all 4 projects. We would recommend awarding all 4 to Benesh. The services will be paid for out of TIF funds, and we also have money budgeted in our road and bridge budget for the design of 4 bridges this year.
Were any of them close in bids?
Actually, there's a summary on the RBA. Let's see. It looks like Wilson was the next. They were about 20,000 higher on all of them.
Okay.
13 on higher on one of them and 20 on the others.
Anybody have any questions?
I guess I do.
Very good.
We got 145 bridges,
Something like that, yeah, close to 150.
75 years per bridge at
75
last.
to 100, yeah, 50 to 100 depending on the.
So I'd like to see just 2 bridges designed a year.
Then 4?
Take the money and use it for PRP projects or something.
Well,
I'd like that.
I mean, we took 800,000 and rolled over for these bridge projects. We don't fund the PRP. There's no PRP getting done this year.
No.
We're working on a
that's
road,
not, there are 2 PRPs that are currently being designed right now.
but they're not gonna get done this year.
They won't be constructed this year, no.
But we're at 182nd Street was supposed to be done in 2007. We're just now gonna get it in 2018. We cannot let these roads go 10, 11 years before we do them.
I got a solution.
What's that?
What's coming up at the end? I don't know if all these people want to hear it. But
Well, I'm sure they're sticking around to hear about something.
I can pass on a little bit, but I'll pass on more when we get to it.
Well,
Theoretically, we're bringing in 97 million for Leavenworth County. 97 million. We've given away 10 million right off the top. If you look at the resolutions and the ordinances and all that other stuff, there is no place that I see that we're going to pay anything for economic development. And we've given $10 million to economic development.
We're done.
Yeah. No, we shouldn't have given anything. It said one place 15%, another place it said that there was no economic development. That's what I say. I want to get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
But that 97 million belongs to us. Us and 3 projects. We gave away, out of the courtesy of our hearts. I wasn't here, but we gave away $10 million. So I think that anything that comes in from the county, or the county's portion, through the 2 formulas that are used, needs to be used for the county. Not for the cities. Leavenworth's getting what, 50 million? What are they doing with their money? Lansing's getting 30 million. Tonganoxie, I don't remember what they're getting, and it's on an idiot form that I have here somewhere, what Tonganoxie's getting. That's probably it right there, right on top. It says Tonganoxie. Tonganoxie is getting 14 million. Linwood and Easton, we won't count them, God bless their hearts. Mesa's getting 22 million. They got projects, let them do their projects. We got county projects.
That's what I'm getting at.
And that's what we.
Secondary road improvements.
That's right. That's what we ought to be spending our money on. And we got to go out on bids, but we got to lower the requirement on PRP because the curves slanted up, the road. We've got to get off of that a little bit.
I think we scheduled a work session next week.
The 20th.
I think a lot of this will be discussed at our work session next Tuesday.
And that's good. So that's where county money ought to go. And that's how it was divided up. 97 million to the county, if that figure pans out, 50 million to the city of Leavenworth, if that figure pans out, and they spend their money on there. And as I say, there was no figure in there that said, and we'll get to that at the end, that said we were going to spend any money on economic development, depending on which document you're reading. So, but I think that's what ought to be done. And the entities ought to know that because we've given a lot of money to Leavenworth. Now, we given Lansing their share, I don't know. But we gave money for the intersection up there at 773 or Amelia Earhart. We gave a big hunk of money up there. $100,000 to help close up the landfill out in the Lansing area. And I've got a sheet here. It has all the rest of the money we've given to them throughout the years now. And county money needs to be spent on the county. I really hate to get into spending county money on salaries and things like to help EMS. That can be a situation that you don't want to get into. So I think when we get to that, we need to make that known to the community that that's how we're going to spend our money on the county. So, but
just
I didn't get into that yet.
Well, we're here. Like I said, I want to see a PRP project done this year.
We might be able to do that with cash. I won't see it done on a borrowing situation because we're wasted. 700, how many? Interest? You got
763,000. It's probably up now.
So
The proposal here before you this morning is to use mainly TIF money. TIF money has to be used on arterials and collectors. All of these 4 bridges are located on arterials or collector roadways. We cannot use TIF money on local roads.
Okay.
So the majority of funds for these 4 designs are coming from TIF. We do have money budgeted in our approved 2018 budget for 4 bridges. So these are approved budgeted expenditures.
How long are these designs good for?
For bridges,
Yeah.
you're at least 5 years.
Why don't we go ahead with the 4?
These are smaller bridges. We're probably talking $300,000-$400,000 projects from start to finish on these bridges. These aren't some of our larger projects.
Why don't we go ahead with the 4 and let them come up with whether we should be doing 1, 2, 3, or 4 a year? Because we don't have all that formula here of when it's got to be done, where it's got to be spent out of. You may have that.
Well, but we're getting ready to do our biannual bridge inspections. We could come back with a different list.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we'd have to do 4 more designs.
Well,
What I'm trying to do here is expend funds that we have in our TIF accounts.
Okay.
Some of those accounts, well, the TIFs aren't as high as the risk, but so by doing this, the top 3, A49, E18, F46, that would clear out those 3 TIF accounts. So there'd be all of that money in those TIFs would be used. T34, that TIF account has more money in it that could be used on other arterial and collector roads.
that's a nice little airplane, T-34. So, I don't have any problems with 4. You?
No, I don't have any trouble with the 4. But I like Doug's idea of bringing back some of the PRP program.
Oh, no, I don't either. That's what I say.
Yeah.
And I do think there is money budgeted this year for the PRP, and we're trying to get.
Yeah, 150,000.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not going to get a half
No, that
million.
isn't gonna get much done,
It's
but
not going to get
there-
much done
there's
unless,
probably cash in there.
unless we lower the standard or we have some other funds available.
Yeah.
I mean,
And next week's work session, that is one of the items that we will be discussing, are the PRP.
I wish we'd
roads.
have transferred 800,000 to PRP at the end of the year.
You talking about the money we're gonna spend on the bridge?
What we transferred at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we would have just took it to and sent it to the PRP.
Definitely something that can be discussed next, in the work session, that is something that can be discussed. This is an attempt to spend down some of those TIF funds.
No, I
on projects
understand. I
that
just want to get the PRP out there again.
Yeah.
Because
I think that has been.
I don't, we keep putting it off to the side, and like I said, we're working on a road now that was supposed to have been done 11 years ago. That's ridiculous. You know?
But
We need to
207th was more than that, so.
I think we have to, definitely that is something that needs to be addressed. It's been brought up multiple times. And I agree that it's too long, and we need to allocate funds.
I mean, when you
every
talk,
year into
you talk longer
program.
about a road than it takes the time to do it.
A lot longer.
So, but we'll see where it goes with what they come back with. And we may be transferring that 800 into the PRP, but.
Is that a motion?
Well, I want to see where they're going to come back. It'll be a motion next week,
All right.
okay?
All right.
Okay, sir. Is that all you're needing on the bridges?
We need
A motion to approve?
Yeah,
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
okay. How you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much. Done with that one. Okay, next one is consider a motion to approve proposal from, I'm not going to pronounce it, VIREO, because it'd be different than what I want to call it, for land use study on County Road 1 in the amount of $58,203 with a contribution from the city of Tonganoxie in the amount of $8,730.45.
This is, I'll just kick it off real quick. This is middle of last year probably. The board gave direction to get a land use study proposal together so that we can get something done on County Road 1 and then hopefully lift the moratorium that's out there currently.
Right.
I understand and appreciate Mr. Herring's comments earlier about a countywide proposal.
Yep.
I'm not as confident that that's a one-year plan. And this has been, I'm not going to say delayed, but put off for sure for multiple years, and it's something that needs to get done. And again, this is just at the direction of the board. Mr. Joseph went out and solicited some proposals and have worked through coming up with a plan for County Road 1. And I'll turn it over to him.
But this is just for County Road 1?
Just
The
for County
corridor,
Road
yeah.
1, just the corridor south.
Right. Okay.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We received a proposal from Virayo, so they, how you say it. They are actually proposing to do a land use plan for an area within County Road 1 that's 1.5 miles on each side of County Road 1 and 6 miles from north to south. They're proposing that they can do it for approximately $58,000. And also we reached out to City of Tonganoxie, and they are interested in participating for an amount of close to $8,700. That's like 15% of their growth area. And the city manager from Tonganoxie was here earlier. He said he had a meeting to go to, so he wanted me to say that they are interested in participating, but they would like to have a city representative actively involved in the study as well.
Okay. Had a chance to look at this?
Yeah, Jeff and I have been in conversation, and I've also had some conversations with the city manager of Tonganoxie, George. And what we're looking to do here is basically the study will be the study. The group that we hire will go out and conduct the study. The involvement of directing them, we don't want to get in a habit of trying to get a directed outcome for any study. We want them to conduct the study and give us the outcome, whether it's what we wanted to hear or not. We need the right professional study, and that's what this is designed to be. We do believe that any meetings or discussions we have with this group as they move forward, that if the city participates, and we are going to be in a portion of their growth area, so we feel it's important that they participate, that they would have a member or an invite at least to any of those meetings and discussions so that they could participate at their discretion.
Okay. You have any?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So the study would be done, and then we would present it and for the public's input after it's done.
Well,
Actually,
throughout the process.
Throughout the
there
process,
would
the
be some
public would be involved.
That'll be like the first step. There'll be 2 public meetings
Okay.
first, and then they'll get the input from the public, and then they'll go back to the planning commission. So
Okay.
there'll be like 4 or 5 meetings.
Just so the public's involved.
Correct.
Yeah.
But once again, this is one of these things that we've kicked down the road. This was talked about on the 2006 sales tax when they done the turnpike.
And one of the items, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But it needs to be done.
One of the items, I made a note to bring up, at the bottom of the RBA, it had a mark of not applicable for budgetary impact. That's not quite accurate. There is an expense, obviously. What we were proposing is to use sales tax funds for this as it meets the need with County Road 1. I've met with the clerk to make sure the funds are available and that it meets the requirements.
You talking about the leftover sales tax money?
I believe so,
From
yes.
16?
Yeah,
Yeah.
since County Road 1 was part of that.
Right.
So.
Bob, you have any thoughts?
No,
Silence?
I like
Okay.
the leftover sales
Right.
tax.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
I read through this. I didn't find a date of completion. Are we giving them a cutoff date, or is this going to be perpetual?
Well, it depends on I'll definitely be working with them on the schedule. It depends on when they can conduct the public hearings and and the input and everything. I think we're looking at probably 4 to 6 months, because we need time to let the public know this is going on. And when we take it to the Planning Commission, we have to send out notices to the property owners there. So it will take some time. What I'm thinking is 4 to 6 months is what we're looking at.
You said no more than 4 months, right?
4 to 6.
Oh, no, that was 4 to 6 months.
46 months.
Yeah, and now we're gonna talk to the property owners, what do they want? See?
That'll be part of that
Yeah,
process.
that'll be part of the,
Nah,
that's the first step, yes.
So this could be put off for 4 to 6 years because of the property owners. What do they want? Well, they want to make the most out of their money. Can't blame them. That's what the whole system works on. What's in it for me? But so I've written down date of completion. I would like to see that figure written in there, because we want it pursued with energy in the same way, personally, if I get somebody else to agree with me, an overall plan for the county.
Absolutely, strategic plan for the whole county.
Is there any reason we can't go out looking for that?
Well, there's no reason we can't go out looking for that other than the funding for such, you know, we can't solicit proposals without a funding source identified. Yep. So I mean, I don't know the number. We would have to kind of do some, a little better estimating, but I'm guessing it's somewhere between $750,000 to $1 million, $750,000 to $1 million.
Because he isn't going to waste the $800,000 because he wants that for CRP.
Well, I think there are some opportunities for funding, and
Yeah,
we'll look into that.
We'll look at that.
But that's definitely not a number we can just throw out mid-year. We definitely want that budgeted. And
We have to start putting some emphasis on some of this rather than, you know, saying we're going to do this and when we drift for years.
Well, I think that's something that we will for sure include as part of our budget,
Yeah.
if not before.
The only other thing I didn't like was Tonganoxie. Not that I don't like Tonganoxie. It's going to give $8,730.45. That leaves them with $4,992,269.55. Why are they not at least paying 50% of it? Because there's the benefit. And I don't want to get into figures for the interchange, County Road 1 for 2440.
I can tell you the math that they used to come up with that number. About 15% of this project lays within what they consider their growth area. The other 85% is outside that growth area. Therefore, they took the total cost of the project, 15% of it is what they felt they would participate at. That is the information that we received.
Oh, okay. There's some logic to that.
There is.
Sheriff, I don't think I like the feeding of the logic.
I was going to say, huh?
The whole thing's in there, Eric.
Well, I think that the project needs to be done regardless of the amount of funding from the city or not, in my opinion. We have to get off of it or we have to lift the moratorium. Something needs to happen. So whether it's 8,000 from them or nothing from them, I think the intent would probably still be to do the project. So I'm just thankful that they are participating, and
But every entity we're going to deal with could say that. Well, we're going to give this much percent, and if not, the project isn't going forward.
in reviewing their growth area, their projected growth area, it is 15%. That's how they came up with the math. I think that was justified in their approach. I'll just say that. Whether you agree with the amount or not, it was their approach was definitely justified, in my opinion.
If I'd been on their board, I would say, you know, God, they've done a lot for us. They've really done a lot for us. I know it's 15%, but I think just to show them that we really appreciate what they do for us, I'd give it up. But
I know, but Mr. Chairman, it was on the last sales tax that they were supposed to do a land use study.
Yes,
and it was supposed to be paid for with sales tax money. So I think we're really doing what the county said we were going to do by doing the land use study. I mean, but I support 100% to have a strategic plan for the whole county. I mean, it has to be done. You gotta know where you're gonna go. We gotta know this.
That's true. So, is everybody happy with the figures on the, what was it?
I am, because it's coming out of the old sales tax money. It's not like we're robbing another fund to pay for it.
Are you happy with it?
I'm happy.
Because I won't be happy, you know that. So I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
That we approve the,
RBA.
yes, the request for proposal for the County Road 1 land use study.
I'll second that.
Okay. And I'll start the voting.
Aye.
No.
Oh, you will?
Yeah. Hey.
Hey?
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote for it. I'm tired of just giving us more money, you know? It's time for us to start taking care of the county and let them take care of themselves and that whole
Well,
project down there.
But Louis, if it's just like Mark said, or maybe David, or Doug said it.
Somebody said it.
Somebody said it.
Yeah.
We need
I'll own
to-
it.
Yeah, we need to go forward.
We need to go forward with
Yeah,
this.
you know,
If we
that's-
don't go forward with this, it's not
Once
gonna
again,
get
another
done.
thing we talked about
Yeah.
for over
Like
10
it's-
years.
it's
It's
gonna
gonna be
vote for it,
kicking the
we're
can
gonna-
down the road, as
Yeah,
you
we're gonna
said.
pull the, well, that'd be 2-1. Can I be a 1 for, you know, a change?
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I kind of would like to see that this is unanimous vote.
Well, I want to go back to the 24,000 for 2440, the 10 million for County Road 1, for 5 million for industrial park. That's a lot of money.
But,
But
Mr.
that's
Chairman,
all
the voters passed the 2440.
Yeah, yeah, they
The
did.
voters passed the Turnpike interchange.
Oh, yeah.
So we're representing the voters here.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, representing the voters. So that's a yes. Or how are you voting? Excuse me, I'll go back this direction. How are you voting?
I voted aye.
Aye, and then A? Go ahead.
So
I'm releasing you. If you're thinking you have to go with me, I want you to.
aye.
There you go. 2-1. I love a 2-1. Okay. Did that solve your situation?
Thank you.
And we need to have something about the overall study,
We'll make sure and take care of that.
okay? Now, that was the last item there. Let's talk about, I've got about, well, the first one was Brandon Johannes came forward about somebody being on the, oh, did you have something?
The chamber asking for one, if we
Yes.
had, if the board had a representative, they wanted to send to the chamber meetings.
I personally think it ought to be the chairman. He is getting the extra money. He's getting a big pay. And he should represent.
You're getting the big pay, huh?
11 months and 28 days.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, it's a consensus.
You got the job.
Chairman suffers. Okay. Are you here for something specific? I can get to that.
The roundabout?
Oh, okay.
That's real specific.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. Okay.
So in December, the board approved going with the roundabout at the intersection of 20th and Eisenhower. Wilson and Company has provided us with a change order to revise those drawings to add the roundabout to the plan set. The cost of that change order is $98,544.12.
And I think the recommendation was,
The recommendation from myself would be that we hold off on that because we have pending litigation. In regards to that, I would hate to go spend $98,000 and find out later
Yeah.
that we can't do that. So, and then I think the county councilor also had some advices in relation to that as well.
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, as you're aware, the city of Leavenworth has initiated an action in Leavenworth County District Court seeking an injunction prohibiting the county from proceeding forward with the design of the intersection 20th and Eisenhower as a roundabout, rather seeking specific performance by prior agreement that the intersection be designed as a, for want of a better term, a traditional four-way stop with a lighted intersection, the lighting to be installed at a later date. Commissioners, you can address this matter in executive session with legal counsel present, or you can discuss it in open session. It's your prerogative.
You know, what I thought was interesting, and I was reading the official minutes, John, these are your official minutes, of Leavenworth Times. There's never been a removal of left turn lanes in any of our thought processes. And it said traffic signals. Now, the lawsuit says the plaintiff, City of Leavenworth, left turn lanes on Eisenhower and traffic signals at 20th and Eisenhower. Signals. Also in John's report, what was in the paper, it talked about, the mayor said Wednesday that an earlier Kansas Supreme Court decision gives the city manager the authority to file a legal action without the commission's approval. I want some of that drug. We're saying that Mark can do something without our approval? I wouldn't think so. And then the city attorney, and then this individual, the mayor, we're doing this just to ensure that it is cleaned up. Because we got this by electronic on January the 19th. This came out in the paper on January the 25th. And the mayor says, we're just doing this just to ensure that it is cleaned up. Now, do we clean up comas? Is that what that is? We're in the process of cleaning up comas. No?
Is this a coma violation?
Yes. Because they went back and had they came, the city manager came out there and filed it. So something must have been done in that meeting.
Right.
And then City Attorney Tom Dawson said he will refile the same petition following the commission's vote.
But it's still a coma violation.
Still coma violation.
If it's filed.
It was 4-0. Nancy wasn't there. She was somewhere. So it says signals. Now, I've gone through Black's Law Dictionary, and I've gone through, I don't know how many areas to find out what the definition of a signal is. And I've been plenty of places where signals, train stops, you name it, where there are a lot of signals. And I've been to four-way stops where there's a signal light, and it's right in the center. Everybody's got to stop, unless somebody gets the blinking reds and somebody gets the solid reds. That is a signal. Now, we're thinking that past commissioners think they know what was said and what the intent was. I think that's what writing is about. Getting it written down, not what Louis Klemp voted on in 1980. What was my thought process in 1980 when I was on the commission? So they're saying the signals, a roundabout, did we ever come up with a definition on it? Is a roundabout with a light prior to it, a signal saying roundabout ahead, Is that a signal?
Commissioner, the definition I received from your engineering staff is it is a signal system.
Signal system. Signal system. But it's not a signal, but it's a signal system. So it could be a signal. All in the eyes of the beholder, and the beholder would be the court system.
Commissioner, if I might, contracts are generally determined by the clear language on the face of the document. It's called the four corners of the document. If there is any ambiguity, the courts then look at what was the intent of the parties at the time of the entry into the agreement, not how that intent may have changed. If the intent changes, that's why you do amendments. What the city is arguing, or I believe is arguing, is that the intent of the parties when they signed the agreement in March 24th of 2016 was that the city of Lansing, the city of Leavenworth, and the county would collectively work to have that intersection designed and built to allow for four-way lights to be installed, if not immediately, then to at least put the conduit in to where it could be hooked up at a later date. I have had the opportunity to discuss with two of the three county commissioners who entered into that agreement as to what their understanding of the intent of the parties was at that time in March. I can recite to you what I have found. I've not checked with the third commissioner. But I will tell you, without naming names, those two commissioners tell me that their understanding of the intent of the parties at the time of the entry into that agreement was it would be a four-way lighted intersection, not a roundabout. That the consideration for a roundabout later came about and was properly brought before the city of Leavenworth for consideration, and the city of Leavenworth has, for whatever reason, declined to look at that as a viable option. I'm discussing this in open session. If you wish to, we can go to executive session, but I believe this board believes its business is transparent and should be brought before the public consideration. And without naming names, I will name names. I've spoken with Commissioner Clyde Graber. I've spoken with Commissioner Robert Holland. And although Commissioner Holland is an advocate of roundabouts because of the safety considerations, the commissioner has shared with me, please correct me if I'm wrong, but at the time that the agreement was entered into, his understanding of the effect of the agreement was a four-way lighted intersection. And I've spoken with Commissioner Graber, and that is his understanding as well. So consequently, if, and I believe the city, the county did approach the city to consider amending this agreement to allow for a roundabout, the city did not agree to do that. The county then looked at whether the agreement could be interpreted as to allow for a roundabout. And what I'm telling you as your attorney is the most likely outcome is that a court would find that the agreement as entered into March was for a four-way lighted intersection, not a roundabout. That does not mean that a roundabout could not at some point in the future be considered, but that a court would be most likely to find that the agreement provides for a four-way lighted intersection.
So what you're telling me is that the red light in the center with everybody stopping is not a light signal.
Could be.
But the intent of the past commission is four of them.
Yes.
Going red, yellow, and green, and arrows.
Yes.
See, and what brought all this to me is safety.
As well as me.
As well as me. There's very few people in the world that understand safety. They think this is safe. I lived in an industry where safety was paramount, where you suffered the consequences. I'm still concerned with safety with that intersection. And the second concern brings in, where are you going to put the times and the delays? Who gets priority? At what time? Because most traffic comes from the north in the morning hours and comes from the east in the evening hours. Those traffics are way more than going west. So are we going to dictate the city is, well, the primary road is I-10. I have a lot of people that are wasting time, gas, and money by sitting there while these few cars go back and forth because there's the new 5-second turn signal. If you forget to put it on, it'll come in 5 seconds. That's not true, John. But that's people that are putting their signals, oh, I guess I got to put my signal on. If the signal's put on and the guy coming from the north makes his commitment, but make it wisely, because the guy signaling may not want to be signaling. I saw a person yesterday morning sit there for 5 cars that were signaling, and they kept sitting there and sitting there and sitting and sitting there. All they had to do was slowly make their turn, because all 5 cars turned to the north, turned to the north, turned to the north. So, I'm going to go back to my original statement. To me, Leavenworth's playing a game. They don't care about safety. I have no thoughts saying that, well, one of them is going to come back and say this, Lou. One's going to come back and say this, Lou. They don't care about safety. Trucks can't get on that road. So what is their intent? You know, it's exasperating to know what their intent is. So if you're saying we can't have roundabout, and as I mentioned the other day, you know, I spent 5 hours in that roundabout, wish I had had a lunch. And then I realized that I had advanced education, didn't all come from Leavenworth, that I could get out of that roundabout. And I got out of that roundabout over there. I thought Douglas County wanted to keep me over there. They weren't going to let me out. So I think it's real sad that Leavenworth, they say, you know, the people just can't make it through a roundabout. Is it worth the time and effort? No, because somewhere down the line, I'll be able to say, yep, yeah, I told you so. Told you so, and yeah, God bless her heart. She's dead. She got run into by a car speeding on Eisenhower because nobody enforces the speed limit. So you talk about the safety things they do, but they don't do anything safety that I can think of. They're not putting 2 men in a car. I can go on and on with all the thought processes that need to be thought about in our society. And nobody wants to think about those processes. And it's on its way. So I can change off the roundabout to the solid stoplight for everybody to stop. But it's up to you two gentlemen to do whatever you want to do. And I'll vote nay if it's not to have a change to the system.
So are you looking for a motion to?
Commissioner Smith, what I'm telling you, and we're doing this in open session rather than executive session, your prerogative is, by my analysis, the most likely outcome of any litigation is that the city of Leavenworth would prevail. Knowing that, is the county interested in basically pursuing this, I guess with the conclusion foregone, or would we rather just move on with it? Expressing to the city of Leavenworth that the county does wish to have roundabouts considered, if not for this project, certainly for other projects, but allow the project to proceed. The cost estimate that Mr. Lugin has before you is significant, and I was aware of that, and that's why I'm bringing this to you at this time.
So do you need a motion to either deny or approve Mr. Lugin's request? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, no,
Well,
I
I
think,
think what we're looking for is a motion on how you'd like to proceed with the pending litigation. Because we do have a Tuesday deadline not to file, and we can file for an extension or
is that
other
for the first
message.
filing or the second filing after the Coleman
The second
violation?
filing, Commissioner. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, what I would like to suggest is your authority to contact the city of Leavenworth and enter into an agreed-upon journal entry to dispose of this case, basically providing for the interpretation of the intersection as requested by the city and as provided for by the agreement of March 2016.
You ready for a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that the Board of County Commissioners go back to the original design of a conduit at the intersection as when the road is being built for future stop or for future traffic signals.
And allow the county counselor to,
Basically, enter into an appropriate legal agreement with the city of Leavenworth to proceed to have the intersection constructed in accordance with the March 2016 agreement.
Okay, that would be my motion.
And you went with the conduit,
Mm-hmm.
not the lights.
Not the lights.
Okay?
The
You
original.
want to second that?
Nope.
I'll second it. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Very good. So they get a conduit, and they can put their own lights in.
Commissioner, I think the understanding at the time was there was no, the most efficacious design was to install the conduiting, but then close it off for a later time.
Well, you could put, as I say, a stoplight right in the middle. They get the conduit, they put it in, they get the stoplight.
I think the intent right now is it'll be stop signs.
The current plans will install the conduit, will get it ready for a future signal, but they will also have a signal as a bid alternate. And at the time of award, the board at that time can decide if they want to pay for the installation of that traffic signal.
Or the
Okay.
board.
Or somebody else may want to pay for it,
Yep.
yes.
So right now, something has to be put in out there.
Correct.
Are you talking about 4 stop signs?
If nobody stepped up to pay for the traffic signal at the time of the award, then it would become a 4-way stop, yes.
Okay. Very good. And did we vote? We did, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Aye, nay. Okay.
No, he voted it aye.
Oh, aye. That's
Yeah,
right.
it was unanimous.
Yep.
Okay.
Didn't want to, but
Did any commissioner have anything further?
Nope.
no.
Okay. Let's see, what else was there here? Okay, now we got a whole bunch of that. Case resolved. Follow-up. Council on Aging. Volunteers, we talked about volunteers. Condemnation. Got a very nice email from a lady on, and I won't mention her name because that creates situations, but she takes care of dogs. She hauls them, takes them off. That's very nice of her to do that. I talked to Mark, let's see, how many employees would we need to have a dog collection and 2 vehicles, one in the south part of the county? So many of these systems, and this is what people aren't realizing, cost a lot of money. And I say again, 54% untaxable.
I think if we went to animal control in the county, there'd be some other issues such as tethering, chaining, fencing.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Can't let your dogs run loose, that kind of stuff, and we're just not, obviously have the capacity.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Bob?
Several years ago, we run a study on how many dogs that that we would be responsible for, and there was hardly none. I mean, I agree that it would be nice to have a dog kennel like the city of Leavenworth does, but we just don't have enough dogs running loose or, I mean, in the county, that we need a dog kennel.
Right. I think that's true.
Would it be possible to get some numbers, what the sheriff's department receives?
They did that once.
We did that once.
Did you?
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And
Okay. And has that, I wonder if that's changed much over the years? I mean, how many years ago are you talking about, Commissioner?
Not, maybe
your
David
tenure.
knows, not very many, not very many years ago.
Dogs are still the same, it's the people that are changing.
Okay, all right, if you say so.
Yeah, it is.
This, I believe, was pre-Sheriff Dedeke, but I do know that it was a comprehensive study, and the number of cases the Sheriff's Office handled was remarkably low.
Right.
And that's obviously within the last 8 years. I would say
Right.
probably the last 4 years.
4 years.
So we don't know if he's getting more calls now than he did in the past?
The call frequency was, quite frankly, we could pull those numbers up again. It is less than you would
Okay.
presuppose.
Okay.
Yeah, I can remember. I did.
Yeah, we did.
So-
But each city provides animal control base. Does Tongi have animal control?
I believe it comes out Leavenworth, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just contract with the city? Okay.
And that was looked into also.
Was the county contracting with the city of Leavenworth?
Yes.
Yeah,
And was it big money?
No,
no.
It wasn't?
no. That's why we decided not to do it, because it wasn't big money.
Okay. Anything else on dog? I just thought I'd mention that.
Well, I think probably be coming up. I think there'll be some people approaching us around budget time, or
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to have some statistics available when they do.
Well, maybe we could contact the sheriff and see if he has any.
And plead with him.
And I actually see what it would cost to enter into an agreement with the city of Leavenworth or somebody that provides animal
Well, I
control.
think that's what we do now, is we enter in a contract with the city of Leavenworth.
Okay.
So you would like some updated figures?
Yes, if it's not too much trouble.
Would you do that for us, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Can we move on off dogs? I have two last subjects. Does anybody have anything to bring up before we get to the two last subjects?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay. Number one is a payment to Anderson and Bird LLP for $12,316.60. Yes, thank you, Judge. That judge just keeps sitting over there. I think the judge, between you and I and the rest of the world, I think the judge is promoting his retirement by not making a decision, because I know it doesn't have to do with capacity or capability. I don't know what law school he went to. But if he had made a decision on our original request with the contracts legal, none of this would be going on. So he's making money for law firms, for himself, and he just sits there as a deity. So I'll move that we pay the bill.
I'll second it.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Now, we got another bill here. Got all kinds of law bills. You know, I got one bill. We're going to start auctioning them off. Maybe the citizen wants to pay for them. From Goodell, Stratton, Edmonds, and Palmer, LLP, out of Topeka, Kansas. And this is a bill for Commissioner Holland And it shows, I guess, what it's for. They get $260 an hour, which is good. This is all open records to me. So, and the bill is for $1,066. And that was on the case where, David, you couldn't handle the case. Would you like to comment on this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, this involves a Kansas Open Meetings investigation being conducted by the Office of the Attorney General. I did prepare a partial response to that. However, it was determined both by Commissioner Holland and I that there was a potential conflict of interest, and consequently I could not represent the commissioner. I recommended the commissioner he seek independent counsel. He took that advice and he chose that firm. I believe that bill is appropriate.
I'll make a motion to approve the bill for $1,066 for good old Stratton and
How you
Evans.
voting on that? How about me voting aye and you say nay? I vote aye. I vote aye.
Did you second it?
I'm a second, yeah.
Oh, did you second?
Yes.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No, I want you to vote nay. It doesn't look like you have a card.
Okay, nay.
There you go. Change it to nay. So it's approved to pay Mr. Holmes. Anything else come before the commission?
I don't have anything.
When you look for the latest dog study, Major Craner was still here with the sheriff's office, so that may help Sheriff Dedeke find that information.
That's right.
Very good.
So, probably 8 years ago, 8 to 10?
Anybody else got anything?
No.
Okay.
Anybody from the audience? Don't want to leave you out.
So
Clerk?
your approval of this, putting the conduit in at 20th and Eisenhower, that virtually should eliminate the lawsuit the city has filed. Is that my understanding? Because you're going forward with what they perceived as what was told to them 2 years ago. So,
That was in the original contract.
right.
But who knows what city? You don't sue over anything. Lawsuit has significance and insignificance. So, nothing else? We are adjourned.